Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Groove podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington. And today we are on episode 7, Foundation. We are looking at Mysteries and Martyrs. And okay, so thus far, this has a review rating of 7.3 on IMDb. It looks like there's about 688 reviewers on here. But yeah, so okay. Tell
I'll
me
go higher than
something.
that.
I
I'll
would
go
go
higher
higher
than
than that too.
that.
Okay, so episode 7, Foundations, Mysteries, and Martyrs. What do you think?
I think this is kind of like the setting to where the show is going. Because before,
Mm,
you kind of, it felt like, oh, there's an adventure here and there's a lot of stuff going on, intrigue, whatever. But like the last two shows, the show before this was number 6, and then this one, it set exactly who the antagonists are,
yep.
where the show is going to go, and what potentially could happen for the future. And I like it. I like it. I don't know where
Yeah.
book people are at on this, but like I like it on this end. I think this is kind of cool. The two antagonists here. You have a planet you destroyed, and you have a religion that's got more people than you, and they're real strict about what's going on here. I have some questions here, but I will ask it later on for the show. So you want to do a recap here about what's
Yeah,
going
but
on?
right, really quickly though, I know I don't like you said, I don't know what the book people are saying, but I mean, come on, this is looking really good thus far for me.
It's interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really
People
interesting.
enjoyed it. So
Yes, give a brief overview of Foundation Episode 7, Mysteries and Martyrs.
okay, so this episode picks up where we have Day, who's over at the planet with the religious people, and
Luminous.
he's taking all kind of L's over there, and he's realizing like, oh my god, we're screwed here.
Dude, he's taking so many L's. It's not even funny.
Because I love he went over to the Zephyr Hilimu. He's like, hey, yo, what's your ask? Whatever. She's like, I don't want you to exist anymore. That's my ask. Like, where do you go from there? And then she basically threatens him about, what would it take to bring down the Sky Bridge? One person? We got numbers. We don't need to do that.
A trillion followers, dude.
Yeah, that was a tough day in the office for Brother Day here.
Mm.
Uh, so it also picks up with what's going on in Terminus with Salvor and Farah. They are on the spaceship, the ship that they're trying to find, the
Mm-hmm.
ghost ship, and the defenses are up. They finally get inside the ship after they lost. They lost a soldier, right? It wasn't a scientist that they got killed.
They
I
lost.
couldn't tell.
They lost a soldier and a scientist.
No, but when they were outside, before they actually got inside the ship, I think it was a
Oh,
soldier that got shot.
Salvor lost Hugo, her boyfriend.
Well, yeah, that too,
Yeah,
which is that's crazy.
and then the other person they lost was the commander, who
Yeah, well,
Farah just
Farah just shot him.
just straight
She's like, "You're done
switched him
here.
up.
You're done, fam."
She's ruthless,
So
isn't she?
yeah, she's a good antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
So they get into the ship and they realize like, oh, this thing's about to jump away. So that's
Yeah.
a huge, colossal problem. And so we got that, and then we have Gail. She's on the spaceship. What's
The
the name of the
Raven.
spaceship? The
The
Raven.
Raven.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the animation for Harry, his computer consciousness
Mm-hmm.
popped on, and it started with his death, and then slowly started working out to getting back to normal, what he was supposed to be doing. So
Mm-hmm.
now I have questions about that. Are huge chunks of his consciousness missing? Because it said the download wasn't complete. So is that going to be a problem? Is that foreshadowing for a problem later on, or what's happening here?
I have some questions too.
Yeah, I got. All right, we'll get to that in a second. So Harry kind of finally explains to her, what the hell his goal was, or what they were trying to do, and why he killed himself. I get it. That does make sense though. Being a martyr and more like you're kind of like a theory or something like that, because enough time has passed. He would have died
Yeah.
anyway at
Mm-hmm.
this point in time, but like the dream of him and what he was trying to accomplish, it's gonna last way longer than if he was old, because he said that he's losing his memory,
Yeah, I
and
think
so
he
if he's
says
there,
he has Lecce syndrome or something like that. So he was going to
yeah,
die anyway and lose all his
got,
memory and all that stuff.
yeah, he's got space dementia, right?
Right.
So he's gonna
That's
he's
pretty
starting to go
legit.
crazy, yeah. And so they were like, "Listen, this is better off that I end like this, and I'm a martyr, and people keep the cause going at a stronger rate than they would if they saw me go crazy." Because people question if everything he said was true,
Right.
if you can see his memory start to fade, and that makes sense to me
That's
on my
true.
end. So like, I respect that. Um, so that's basically where the show is here. They realize the ship's about to jump away. Gail's going back to Harry's home planet, and
Helicon.
Brother Day's screwed. He's extra screwed over there.
And then you also have the other scene was with brother Don,
Oh yeah, Brother Don. I forgot about
and
that.
him.
Brother Don got lucky. Yeah, he kind of exposed the fact that he's really, really different from the other brothers, which
Yeah.
I think we talked about from one of the other earlier shows. He's basically not a carbon copy of his brothers, and he's scared.
He kind of
So,
exposed himself like I'm really different than both my brothers,
yeah,
like
he's got a
super
lot of
different.
issues.
Yeah.
He's colorblind. He's left-handed, or he holds his hands different
He
from
crosses his
them.
thumbs differently. He
Yeah,
doesn't
he
like the
doesn't like
food and the
food.
drinks. He puts on the
Yeah,
socks and shoes differently. Like, wow.
yeah, he's very different.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered, since the show started, is this guy gonna be the catalyst that completely upends the Empire because he's different?
Okay. So, there is a part of the foundation that they haven't
Mm,
really spoken about a lot, and that's the Scar. That's the other city, right?
mm,
It's called the
yeah,
Scar. Again, I told you before that reminds me a lot of Altered Carbon on Netflix. How you have
mhm,
this city below the city where everyone else lives, right? Um,
yeah,
so Azura was basically saying, hey, the Scar, we can see the skies now, and it's a little different here. This is outside of
mhm.
Trantor, and even Brother Dusk said, there is nothing else outside of Trantor. It's just
Yeah. He's like,
here is
"There's nothing
us.
matters, just
Right.
inside
Just
the,
like,
the,
wow,
the
really? I mean, okay,
palace."
these guys are like completely, I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah, so you're going, you have that sort of thing popping off, and then you also have you know, again, he's not completely a Cleon like
yeah,
everyone
something's
else,
different.
It's like the genetic dynasty, something happened along the
Hmm.
way, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but that was, that dynamic right there where he's taking off his, I guess, his protective wristband, so that he can
Dangerous.
make love with Azura.
But you know what, too? Like,
Um,
later on in the show, like, you see that there's another version of him
yeah.
that's downloading his consciousness. So I think that at that level, you don't have to be risk averse, because they'll just, oh, I got shot. All right,
They
I guess I'm done
vaporize you.
for. And
Yeah.
Brother Day 2.0 is coming out, so it
Yep.
doesn't even matter really. No, I'm just saying, like, their system is that with backups of clones of themselves. Like, it's interesting that those clones are growing at the same rate as the ones that are outside the pod, but they're downloading their consciousness so they can just easily be replaced. So they're
Okay.
trying to
Mhm.
be unfallible, if you will, like
Mhm.
almost like a god, where they can never lose. This is an interesting concept.
Okay, but here's the question, because when I saw the clone of, Day and Dawn,
Mhm.
and they have these sort of receptors on their like
Yeah.
temple, and they're like gathering the information of I guess the Cleon that's alive, right?
Mhm.
So let's say something happens to Dawn, right, brother Dawn, and they bring online because these joints are basically computers. They
Yeah.
bring online the Dawn and waiting, right? wouldn't he
Mhm.
have the same, you know, things that's happening to the existing Don? Like
Yeah.
colorblind, thumb thing, like not liking drinks, this, that, and the other. Wouldn't
It
he
should be the
gather
same.
those? It should be the same, right?
Yeah.
So, but does that also mean that Brother Day also has some issues that we don't quite know about, you know?
Mhm.
Because again, he was like
Maybe
Don
he's
at some
been
point, right?
but maybe they've been hiding it from each other this entire time. They've always been like this.
Wow,
You know
that
what I'm
would
saying? Like
be.
that could be that he could have the same issues. He pretend like he likes to drink and he eats the same food
Would that
just to
mean
hide
that every brother is like broken, or it's like there's something
defective.
wrong? Yeah, defective or something. I mean, I mean, if it's a genetic dynasty, then, I mean, hey, you're also picking up those things genetically that's in that
Yeah.
person, just the different traits and everything. So,
Because I had
wow,
another question too.
what's up?
Why wouldn't the Empire just download his brain into like a robot like Demerzel and just call it a day, rule like that?
Um,
Would that make more sense
I,
than the
you know,
cloning thing?
yeah, I kind of feel that there is some downloading of something though, right?
Well, they're definitely download the way the show has it. They're downloading their daily interactions
Mhm.
into the backup bodies. But I'm just like, why wouldn't you? Why bother with the dawn, dusk, and day thing and just put your body into or put your mind into a robot and then rule forever that way? Because
Why have
how
three?
old is Demerzel? Yeah,
Right.
like, but
What?
how old is Demerzel? She's got to be 500-600 years old.
Well, she says she's been around for 500 years, so she's at
Yeah, so
least
she's like
500
500
years.
years.
She
So
doesn't look
why
a
not?
day over 700 years old, for real. I mean, totally.
Yeah, but like, why not just build another? Or unless that technology's lost, or they they outlawed it, they got rid of them. But like, everything inside the palace is a closely guarded secret. I
Mhm.
don't think the rest of the universe knows exactly how they're doing this. Like, because it was a shock to her to see that, oh, there's another backup of me in this tank right now. So I don't think everybody knows. So if the Empire is this closed knit thing that's behind closed doors,
Mhm.
just download the body into a robot and call it a day.
You
I
know,
mean,
put
obviously, a technology exists because your your aid is a robot,
and
so
all of your
the technology's
military
there.
people have nanobots inside of them and everything
Yeah,
else. So
so
I mean, it's
that
there,
stuff's
right?
there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
Or set the cloning so the cloning ages longer or whatever. I don't know, because it seems to be regular human age for years, right?
dude, brother Don, he was also a virgin, but he's not a virgin anymore. He
He's
was
a
like,
man,
I don't know what to
Mazel
do here. Please help me. She was like, listen, I've done this plenty of times. I'm going to show you exactly like how this works. you know, he was like, let me take off. I mean, like, listen, I mean, I would love to see him like just get involved in the Scar. I love that name too of the
just
underworld, right?
just run away to the
Right. Just
underground.
she was like, yo, we can get like, they have like biohackers who can change your face, basically a plastic surgeon. They have people who can remove your nanobots, all this sort of stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, it must be, I mean, I would imagine, just and remember, like, he wanted to see what that was all about. So, they used this sort of the
he's a butt
dragonfly drone,
dragonfly thing.
and
Yeah.
he was able to like see what was going on in the scar and everything. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna
Mhm.
put it out there. I bet you the Scar has some of the best EDM clubs on Terminus. I bet you.
Best DJs in the galaxy are
Best
down in
DJs in
Terminus.
the galaxy. I bet you because it looks that
And
way. You know what I'm
Centaur.
saying? you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, they're just working down there. The guy let off steam somehow, so
I
yeah,
think
that makes sense.
he's intrigued with the Scar. I think he wants to go check that out. I think he is going to check that out. I'm gonna
Yeah,
make a prediction. He's gonna check it out for sure.
I think he's gonna cause a huge commotion by trying to leave. But like,
Mhm.
it also made me wonder: has any of the other Cleons tried to, just be like, "I can't do this. I don't want to be emperor anymore," and just try and flee? Has that happened before? Because they're copies of each other, so they must have had that impulse to be like, "Yeah, I don't know."
You know what? I think that may have happened, man. I would not be surprised if that came up in one of the episodes,
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, they got
Cleon the
backup
Ninth or
backup
something
just
like
in
that,
case.
right?
Yeah. One of the early models, they're like, screw it, I don't
Right.
want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
Like, run off
Um,
with the
so Brother Dawn has a really interesting storyline. I like
Mhm,
his storyline. I like what they're doing with him.
mhm.
He he wants to be more human. He wants to experience human things.
He's taking all kind of risks.
He's like, I mean, he's a rebel, right? He's sort of a
Mhm,
maverick even. Let's take it to okay. So that's Brother Don. Let's take it to Luminous where
mhm.
Halima. Woo, dude, she is like Shadeville all day.
I have issues with so much of this stuff because I'm like, the Empire is allowing this festering wound to just grow and expand. Why wouldn't you do something about that before it even got this far?
You know, here's my thing. I'm like, you know, Brother Day seems like he may be a little tainted a little bit,
Mhm.
because I mean, you're the Empire, right? You could just off
Yeah.
this woman.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Just like, you know
But
what?
like,
I'm
yeah,
I'm not doing I'm not doing the great
like
spiral and
he's
like, get this tan of my life. I'm not doing that. Are you
he's
serious?
basically tap dancing for her. I'm like, what are you doing? You're Empire, man.
Why
You
is he
blew up
like
2 planets. You're
why is
why are
he
you?
like Towtown to this like person who isn't even
I
in
don't know.
power? And I mean, her whole concept is the only way you can help me is like get rid of the genetic dynasty.
Just off yourself is the best way you can help me. That's
So,
your opposition is to be done with you.
and he's
Like,
still trying to like give her gifts and like, water
yeah,
salutations and satellites and all that sort of stuff. She's like, no, you don't get this.
yeah. I think he seems to be completely over his head on this one.
Mhm.
With the how is this only advisor Demerzel? Like, what's going on here? Like, that seems like they should have a room full of advisors and scientists and doctors and army soldiers. Like, how come they're not with him? He seems to be by himself in this whole process.
So he killed one of the mathematicians because they couldn't figure out a formula,
Yeah, I was gonna
of,
say like these people should be here with him on this envoy. Like, hey, we need the best strategy to figure this thing out.
right.
Like,
So
and they don't have any spies down there. They're not
nothing.
prepared. They're really not prepared. I
So
guess they get complacent with the empire thousands of years.
so he kills this mathematician just by yelling at him because this mathematician did not solve an equation. Here's
Mhm.
a woman, Halima, who is basically telling him like, dude, you are
Yeah.
nothing. And
Yes.
he just lets her go. And what he's just like, I need to like accommodate her, right?
That blows my mind. I don't understand what's going.
So
You,
the water salutation, the satellites, that's not working. She totally shaded the mess out of this guy. She made him look so small,
yeah,
just like, wow, look how small this guy. I didn't understand that. Did you understand
yeah. I
that?
don't understand. And then
Yeah,
his solution to all this is to make himself vulnerable and weak and to take this pilgrimage walk
the
that could
great
basically kill
spiral. Come
him.
on.
Like, that's your solution to this? That's worse. Like, you basically bent the knee and you've given her all the power of your empire. That's insane to me. I don't understand that. I
I
I
don't.
disagree wholeheartedly with that concept.
So I don't understand that either because he thinks if he does the great spiral and comes back okay, now
He
what?
looks
What
like
does
he
that
has a
mean?
soul.
I mean, you're
Yeah,
still a
he's trying to.
genetic dynasty.
Yeah, I know. But you have nanobots in you to heal you and everything like that. Like, so I mean, it's not as tough as it is going to be for you as it would be for somebody else. Yeah, you're genetically modified. So like that's a you're not helping to prove your argument here. You're just wasting time.
What if she says, okay, you want to do this? That's fine.
Mhm.
But you have to take your shield off, your wristband, so you don't have this protection.
Yeah. This is all bad. All of this is bad.
I do
I
not
disagree with the
understand why
strategy.
this guy is like trying to accommodate a person who wants to see you destroyed, wants to see the genetic dynasty destroyed? Why are you trying to accommodate this woman? This,
Like she's not
listen,
even voted into power yet.
she
She's at the
has,
Proxima. She's still a Zephyr. Like
she's got mad balls, dude. She
yeah.
basically said, listen, get up out of here. You're bothering me right now. You're annoying, get up out of here. And
Mm-hmm.
he looked really shook, didn't he? He was just like, wow,
Yeah,
I'm shook.
he looks defeated. Like, oh my god, I've lost here. Like the Empire is going to be cut in half. Like I don't understand that. His strategies are terrible. Like it would have made more sense to me if advisors told him maybe you should do the walk.
Yeah,
That would have made more sense. But for him to choose it, and there's nobody like, whoa, 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 what are you doing?
right.
That
May,
that seems kind of odd.
maybe
Not like,
Denizella say something, but the other thing is this, right? Okay, it's just like you
mm-hmm,
went down here, you have this problem. She's a
mm-hmm,
problem based on what the empire is, based on Trantor. She is a
mm-hmm,
problem, right?
yeah,
You are the king, the emperor. You go to
mm-hmm,
Luminous. This woman is just completely embarrassing you every step
she's
of the way.
yeah.
And your fix for it is to go through the spiritual, the great spiral to prove that you are what? Not clueless, not a genetic dynasty.
It's a terrible
Um,
strategy.
it's dude, he's like, I'm totally surprised
Mm-hmm.
with this episode. I'm totally surprised at how weak they
Yeah,
made Brother Day
yeah,
look in this episode. He looked so weak in this episode. He has no power. I
yeah.
don't understand why he just doesn't off this woman and picks, the next person in charge. Like, you're
But
in
like
charge.
you're running an empire with trillions of people and millions of planets, whatever.
Mhm.
How come you don't have any spies down there to give her like a hill pinprick over here? Like, oh, I feel so tired. All of a sudden, they can just knock her out. Like, what?
Like,
Do something.
like, how you doing? Like,
Yeah, exactly. The big dart, bow dart, or something. Like, yo, you have nothing to get rid of this problem for you. Because once
right,
she's gone, boom, problem solved. The other lady's gonna get in, done and done. Why
dude.
would you, I don't understand that. That's a weird way for because the way the Empire has been handling stuff for the last the way the shows presented the Empire, they blew up two planets because they thought they might have done something.
That's it.
She's directly threatening you, and you're like,
With
maybe I'll
no evidence. They had no evidence at all.
yeah.
You know,
They're like, you know what? I'll bend the knee even more. Maybe that'll help. Like, no, that's not
right.
gonna help.
Yeah. So I don't
That's
understand
terrible
that.
strategy.
Let's go to the Raven and figure out what Gail and Harry is
Okay.
doing, because that's really interesting to me,
Mm-hmm.
because now there's this consciousness protocol. Now
Mm-hmm.
Harry's around, he's talking, he's able to speak to her as if he were alive. Um,
Does Harry have control of the ship?
well, they did ask for the environmental system to be
Yeah,
turned back
because
on, and the only way that was supposed to be or could be turned back on was for someone who was authorized to
yeah,
turn it back on, and he did. So I think
yeah.
so.
I'm assuming that yeah, because she can't do this on her own,
Right.
and she doesn't have any powers. She
She
can't
doesn't know
control
the
nothing.
password.
You know, yeah, she don't know anything.
Right.
So I think Harry probably is in control of the computer, and he can run the ship now, which will make her life easier, I guess. But
Mhm.
it this was illuminating because it kind of filled in a lot of questions people had about what was going on and why did Harry do what he did.
Mhm.
And he's explaining himself. Some stuff I agree with. Some stuff I'm like, maybe that's writing. I don't know, but it's interesting though the way that this thing where this is going because he's going back to his home planet. They all know he's dead and they know
Mhm.
he's assassinated, and they blame this lady for it and race. So like where is that going? That's the only part of the show right now that I'm not quite certain about what's coming up next
Yeah.
is what's going to happen with her storyline. I know what's going on with the ghost ship. I know what's going on with Terminus and Trentor. That'll make sense. Luminous, that'll make sense. What's happening? Where do you think this is going with this storyline?
Okay, so I think that well, he did mention that well, the whole how this all happened was Harry thought that in order for the foundation to flourish, they couldn't do it with
Mhm.
a person. They needed like an
Yes.
idea to like, so basically he had to become a martyr, and then this idea would live on.
Mhm.
So, Harry and Raish set this up like from the beginning, which now
Yeah.
explains why Raish was like at during some episodes was just a little pissed off at Harry because he's like, I gotta kill you, dude, and then I gotta,
That's some
you know,
BS right
yeah.
there.
And so his idea was to, like have this idea, just
Mhm.
carry on without a person, and for Gale to basically
Mhm.
finish the foundation, right?
Yeah, which got completely mucked up
It's mucked
because
up now,
Gail's not
right?
a she's not in a Terminus,
Yeah,
which they really could have used her,
yeah.
and because she can kind of tell the future on some stuff, so I think she would have made better decisions about what to do with
Mhm.
all those things going on over there. But so yeah, it's interesting here. This is interesting.
Gail now has the ability to tell the future, to find, just know what's going on, like before it happens.
Mhm.
So that's also going to be interesting if you
Mhm.
really think about that and how um, Brother Day, when they were on Terminus, I'm sorry, not Terminus, Trantor a few
Mhm.
episodes back, and, they were in front of the Empires, the Cleons, you know, Brother Day
Mhm.
sort of respected her a little bit. Was like, this is the prodigy. Why don't you tell me what's going on? Even though she lied to
Mhm.
him, or she engineered the narrative, as Harry would say. Um,
Yeah.
but I think with her, I think she knows everything that's gonna, in terms of this cube. Remember the mathematic cube, or is that the Abraxas conjecture, or whatever it is, right? I think she knows a
Mhm.
lot more about that. Um, I also think that she is going to play a major role in like how the foundation and everything else happens. I think she has a connection to Salvor as well. I think they have a connection,
I think so too. I
I
think so too.
I think there's a connection there, and I'm not quite sure what's going to happen once they get to Helicon, but
Mhm.
that's going to be really interesting. Again, she now can see what's going on in the future. So that's going to be interesting moving forward.
Well, it
She's
was implied, but like they came out and said, yeah, she can kind of tell the future.
yeah, mm, that's going to be really interesting. So that's going to be I'm looking forward
Mhm.
to that. Let's get to Farah,
Mhm.
Selvon, Lewis, and everyone else trying
Mhm.
to get to Invictus, which is this huge ship, dude, the world killer. Now you
Yeah, it's like
said
some circles.
that's what I'm really interested in. I'm interested in seeing what's going on
Mhm.
with Invictus because wow,
So,
this
what's the
is
plan? The
serious.
plan is it for it to jump into Trentor? That's the plan? The next
Well,
jump is to go into the planet and
no,
blow the planet up?
well, I think okay. So right now it's just automatically jumping, right?
Yeah, it's jumping randomly, but I think
Right.
Pharaoh wants them to get to the wheelhouse, if you will,
Mhm.
the bridge, and set the coordinates for the next jump to be Trentor.
Right. So that's what Farah wants to do. She wants to take control of Invictus
Mhm.
and then go to Trantor and like just blow that joint up.
Yeah,
The
light it up.
world killer. Dude, this is a huge ship, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it looks massive.
It looks massive, doesn't it? That's gonna be really interesting. Um
I don't think
so
it should be as easy as they say it's gonna be because the people who knew what they're doing couldn't fix it, and they died how many years ago? This is hundreds of years ago. The people who
yep,
are actually trained, who knew how to operate the ship, couldn't figure out how to stop what was happening.
yeah.
I guess you can make the argument that a bunch of years has passed and information has grown, so maybe this next generation of people who are on the current ship now, they know a little bit more about building spaceships or whatever. Like, whatever telemetry, mathematics, whatever they need to know, they have a better understanding. Because you got to think about it, like this is the difference between somebody that's got a go-kart versus uh I don't know, like one of those electric cars with the computers in it right now.
Hmm.
Like that's the level of technology that's passed. So you could say the person who had the go kart, they couldn't figure out how to do the things, but you have this new car here with this got electronics and whatever. You need to know a little bit more about stuff, so you can say they're more advanced. That could be the argument for it. But initially when I saw it, my first thought was, well, the people who were trained to understand everything about the ship couldn't fix it,
Yeah.
and here's three of you guys. You lost the engineer or whatever, and you're gonna do this by yourself in 2 hours. Was it 3 hours?
Uh,
I was like, I don't know about
Apple
that.
TV is gonna make it work. They're gonna make it work, dude. Apple TV is gonna really make it work. But you know, once they and you know that they, I mean, not obviously, but you kind of think that they will take control. They will gain control
Yeah,
of
they're gonna take
Invictus.
100%. They're gonna take control of the ship.
Right. Uh-huh. And again, this is something that Harry predicted, right? In
Mm-hmm.
terms of like the genetic dynasty basically being
Yeah,
destroyed,
they're
just
screwed.
yeah, so it's just like you have Farah, then you have Halima. It's like so weird that, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have Gail. It's so weird that the threat to the dynasty are all women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women who have these sort of powers, to try to, make change. Farah
Mm-hmm.
has been working on this, been thinking about this since Trantor destroyed her planet, right? She's been thinking about
Yeah.
this all along. So this is something she's been thinking about for years. And it's just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now we come to this and she is not playing, dude. She is,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. This is I think that's going to be the most interesting part for me. Also, just everything, everything that we saw in episode 7. I was feeling everything. I watched it 3 times, you
Mm-hmm.
know. You know what? You have anything to say about this specific section before we wrap it up?
Yeah,
Invictus.
I'm interested to see how they utilize this ship to cause havoc in the galaxy.
Right,
Is like they're fearful of the ship. People in general are fearful of the ship. They think it's like some ghost or whatever that's running it,
right.
and it's been gone for a bunch of years. So
Yeah.
like I'm saying, like there's a lot of intrigue about how they're going to use it. I guess they're going to jump into the planet and materialize on the surface or something like that.
Wow.
That'll jack up the planet a lot.
Man, they're just
That'll
going
be a huge problem.
I think that they were going to jump to Trantor and just use the world killer guns and just like blow that joint up. I mean, it's going to
Well,
listen.
we don't even know if they're operational or if they have enough whatever is in them yet. But I think either you're going to ram into the planet and do like a suicide type thing, or you're going to use the weapons, whatever weapon stations are online, and just
Mhm.
blow up the planet that way. But either way, it's going to be bad. Like you saw what happened when the sky bridge fell down, so like whatever they do is going to be really bad.
Here's something really quickly before we wrap this up. The commander said that he had an implant that
Mm-hmm.
communicates back to Trantor so they can see and everything is being recorded, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's the case, why hasn't Trantor figured out that hey, their ship was destroyed when it went to Terminus, and now their commander was on Invictus,
Mm-hmm.
and no one there wasn't an alarm or an alert that went off, or where's the CIA? Where's
But
intelligence, right?
yeah, I think this is one of the problems with the show is that there's
Hmm.
no way to tell time. You're
Uh,
dealing with vast distances, so either it takes a couple of minutes
yeah,
or it takes a year. You just don't really know.
yeah,
So I don't
dude.
know how far away they were from where the ghost ship is, how long the ghost ship would take to get over to Trantor. We don't really have an idea. We like they said the jump for Gale was like 30 years, but okay, where is she in relation to what's going on right now? Is
Yeah,
it present day? is it a couple years from now in the future, or is it in the past already? We have no idea.
Yes,
That's the thing they got to work on for season 2. They got to give you a better idea about what time is.
yeah,
'Cause-
I yeah, that's true. Well, let's wrap this up. Okay,
Mhm.
Foundation, episode 7, Mysteries and Martyrs. Give me your rating.
I give it an 8. I give it a strong 8 because now we know exactly where the show's going. You know who your antagonists are. You know what the conflicts are going to be. Everything's clear. Battle lines are set, and it's interesting to see how this is going to turn out. I said interesting a bunch of times, but like I'm fascinated by what's happening here,
Mhm.
and I like the whole strategic stuff with the Empire and them doing their diplomacy and that's feeling, which is embarrassing. But I love all that stuff. I love all those kind of shows, whatever. So this is great for me. I love the sci-fi elements of it too. The nanobots in the ship repair the ship when the holes in there. Like that's interesting. All this
Yeah,
stuff is cool. I love the
it's
future technologies. So
mhm,
yeah.
it's very cool. I am also going to give it an 8. Add my
Mm.
point on, so I'm going to
A
give it a
plus one.
9. Yep, this is a +1. I'm giving it a 9. This episode
Mhm.
was really good. You know what? I have to say this. I love the confusion of
Mhm.
Foundation, right?
Mhm.
Because it's almost like sensory overload, right? You got to think about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of jumping around, obviously, but
Mhm.
I think they're doing a really great job at putting things into its proper place, right?
Mhm.
And they're giving you small little sort of sections of each thing popping off on each episode, right? So like this past episode, episode 7, we saw a lot. We saw like 4 different like sections of this like a foundation, and it's moving, and people are gonna say whatever they say
Yeah.
about it, but I really like this episode.
Mhm.
I gave it a 9. I'm really loving Foundation. Thus far for me, it's like a really good series, and I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to episode number 8.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment. And until next
Mhm.
time, peace.
All right.